What's up, you guys? And welcome back to Raccoon City, California. I'm a therapist who games, and today we are talking about a game that was far ahead of its time. We're talking about Resident Evil Outbreak. And we're talking about whether or not a remake would, no matter how many fans wanted, would it work and would it be successful? But before we get into that, if you guys can do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, because my philosophy is if you enjoy this vibe, then why not like and subscribe? Now, let's get into it. Resident Evil Outbreak released on the PlayStation 2 back in 2004. And let me tell you something. I remember playing it when it first came out. Now, Resident Evil Outbreak was definitely a game that was ahead of its time, mainly because it was a game that decided out of nowhere to jump into the online gameplay space during a time where a lot of people didn't have access to the hardware that was required to play. Now, I recall seeing on the box, it said broadband play. Here's the funny thing. When I got the game, we didn't even know it was an online game. And then it said, the case said broadband only on it. And we realized, like, oh, snap, this is a game you can play online. But here's the thing. At the time, we didn't have broadband, cable modem, DSL, whatever the hell it was called. We just had 56K dial-up. But we had that online adapter for it. So we plugged it up. And guess what? It worked. So I recall playing this game, Resident Evil Outbreak, and I recall playing it online maybe once or twice, but man, was it fun. It was fun partly because the concept of playing Resident Evil with other people, it was like entering a world of survival horror with help. Nothing scarier than playing a Resident Evil game by yourself back in the day, especially if you were young like I was. And knowing that there's somebody else out here in the chaos with you, you couldn't ask for more. The only issue, though, was you couldn't talk to anybody. And maybe it's because I had the 56K, but the loading times took so damn long that it was almost unbearable. And again, I think that's because I was, playing on a connection that wasn't suitable. And so you fast forward to a time now where Capcom's remaking all the Resident Evil classics. They've remade part 1 a long time ago, but now in the RE engine, they've remade part 2. They've remade part 3, and now they've remade part 4. And each one has been great, other than the fact part 3 cut out a whole lot. But that's a topic for a different day. There's something about Resident Evil, and especially for fans like me, the OGs who, played, who came up on 1 through 3. Resident Evil has gone through phases. You got the OG fixed camera 1, 2, 3. Then you've got the action games 4, 5, 6. And then they're doing the first person horror, psychological horror 7 and 8. Like I said, for me, OG RE fan, I'm a part of that first trifecta of games. There's something about the idea. For me, I'm a big zombie person, right? But not just necessarily zombies. We're talking outbreak stories, like the beginning of The Last of Us. When the outbreak happened and shit just went crazy. There's something about Raccoon City and stories about Raccoon City that are just, there's so much there that Capcom can revisit and tell different stories. I did another video about them giving Elza Walker an opportunity to shine by giving her own game, escaping from Raccoon City University, since she's a university student. But Resident Evil Outbreak gives you the opportunity to really dive back into what happened when things just got out of hand. And, escaping Jack's bar and all that type of stuff. That concept to me is just amazing. Like I said, you got 8 characters who all have their own lives, just like real life. Whether you're a TV reporter, you're a plumber, you're a subway worker, you're a cop. At the end of your day, you just want to go somewhere and have a drink. And then shit hits the fan and everybody has to work together to get the hell out of there. Now, I'm here to discuss whether or not a remake would work. Only because things have changed, from a gaming standpoint, to where would that same concept be relatable today? Now, like I said, back in the day, Resident Evil was such a game changer when it came to fixed camera angles, tank controls, and slow pace and scariness. And I feel like for those who played that game, that's what made it so special. But gaming in general has changed. Now almost every game that's third person is over the shoulder. We've played games like Division and Army of Two, and just games where the format is pretty similar. And I say all that to say, if a Resident Evil remake came out, would it feel like Resident Evil, or would it feel like every other game we might be playing online? Resident Evil and Capcom attempted to make a multiplayer online game, not Outbreak, but it was called Resident Evil Resistance. And here it is. And this showed us what a cooperative style online game in the RE engine would look like. Now, this game, Resident Evil Resistance, was a 4v1. You had a mastermind who set traps and all this crap. And then 4 people trying to escape, And so I wanted to use this as an example because it's in the RE engine, it's 4 players, and I wanted us to take a look and say to ourselves, are the RE Outbreak fans, when we look at this, could we see this format working for an Outbreak game? Or does it feel too arcadish, too not cartoony, but too cookie cuttery, where it doesn't necessarily stand out amongst the crowd like RE Outbreak did? And before, I used to say, I don't know if this will work, but I truly feel like the only way it'll work is if they implement a style where you really force people to work together. There's not a lot of ammo. One person gets one type of gun, the other gets another. That way you don't have to worry about like you're playing with a hog who's just taking everything. They've got all the bullets, and it's like, no, this character right here uses a handgun, this one likes to use a shotgun or a sledgehammer, or one doesn't like weapons, whatever the case may be, but they're all forced to really work together. And, like the last one, have, some people have their strengths and weaknesses, but I think it's really important because, if you don't have friends to play with and you're playing with randoms, you want to make sure that no matter who you're playing with, everyone is forced to work together. Now, another thing that comes to mind when I think about, playing Resident Evil Outbreak, as a group, I think about what the format would look like. Is it still gonna be chapters? Is it gonna be like games like Dead Island where you just kind of drop in, drop out? I'm very curious to know, and I'm very curious to know what you guys think. For those of you who are huge fans of the Outbreak series, are you more of a fixed camera angle type of person, or do you think this new format would work out better? I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts, and I'll catch you guys here next time at the Therapist Lounge in Raccoon City, California. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Take care of yourselves. Peace.